He speaks into that whirlwind and says, "Come with me by yourself." For just as the disciples want to connect with Jesus, Jesus has a desire to connect with them. And so he calls them to a quiet place, a place of solitude, a place of peace, where they can connect with him. Because that's the point. The point is connection. To spend some one-on-one time. To be alone with Jesus. Jesus responds to the whirlwind by calling them away. It's his invitation. In that place of solitude, we follow Jesus in being led away from all the distractions, all the things that crowd in so near, at least for a little while. And by doing that, we are able to see him more clearly, to hear him more distinctly, and to feel him more closely. But we do have to follow. We have to leave the distractions behind. Verse 32 says, "So they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place." It's the "in a boat" which strikes me, because it means that not everything could come. There was a sense of limitation. There was a sense of stepping away from the things that crowd in, leaving things behind. Thomas à Kempis writes, "The person who wants to arrive at interiority and spirituality has to leave the crowd behind and spend some time with Jesus." So if it's true, and I think it is, that Jesus speaks into our chaos and invites us into the places of solitude in order to connect with him and to be revived, then what is the avenue by which that occurs? What's the avenue by which that will occur in your life? What's the boat that you are called to get into as you leave things behind just for a short little while? And we're not talking about you giving up your cell phone, but maybe you don't need to check it every 6 minutes. Maybe you decide for 24 hours you're going to check it 4 times a day. I told actually Alicia that statistic after I learned it. I said, "Did you know, honey, that the average cell phone user checks their phone once every 6 minutes?" She said, "I know. I live with one." I think she was talking about her cell phone. That's what I think she was talking about. Maybe you can set that aside. It's stepping into the place of kind of conscious retreat. Maybe it's turning off the radio, turn off the television, close up the magazines, close up the books, and sit with Jesus. Maybe it's busyness, but maybe it's also burdens or hurt or a sense of spiritual baggage that continually takes your focus away. Because that's what that stuff does, right? It's all you think about. It's all you dream about. All these are distractions that keep us from connecting with the Lord more deeply in our lives. And if we have that desire and that passion to connect with him, we need to recognize that Jesus is calling us to a quiet place with him. Richard Foster writes, "In times of solitude, we take the world off our shoulders." You ever feel that you need to do that? You ever feel like every once in a while that you realize you're walking around kind of hunched and just bundled over? Because you feel the weight of everything? In solitude, we take the world off our shoulders and suspend our need to manage and control everyone and everything. Solitude, you see, gives us perspective about our place in God's great kingdom of love. It's great words from Foster. Disciples, they need to hear that. Coming off a time of frenetic activity and excitement and directly into a crowd of chaotic whirlwind of coming and going, they probably need to hear about where Jesus is in the midst of it all. they probably need some help in building that connection. And so in his grace and in his love and in his infinite wisdom, Jesus provides for it. Come with me by yourself to a solitary place. Solitude has this wonderful ability of cutting through all the noise, right? Because it's held in tandem with quietness and with silence. We turn our backs on things. We shut things off. We sit in silence. We go for a walk. We just remove those things. It cuts through all the noise. It cuts through all the distractions. And it reminds us of where we stand in the midst of God's kingdom. And all those things that crowd in, all those big things of life that sometimes bear down, they don't seem as big because we see them in reference to the grandness of the God who invites us to live our lives with him. All of us, at certain points of our lives, need solitude. We need retreat. Our spiritual lives are dependent upon it. And the great thing that we hear this morning is that Jesus is inviting us into that. In the midst of that whirlwind, Jesus speaks that invitation. And so to end this morning, I'm going to give you some homework. And I'm going to check up on it in another 2 years. To end this morning, I'll give you some homework. Sometime this week, go with Jesus to a solitary place. Remember that the key to that good place of solitude is to get in that boat, to be by yourself with him. So sometime in the midst of your week, remove yourself from your morning routine, from your tasks, the to-dos, the distractions, and the burdens, and focus on Jesus with you. The key is to hear his invitation and to follow him to that solitary place.